Okay, I'm finally back with my Doctor Who project. It's kind of like a little bit of a fast forward, but I didn't really want to document tearing the game down. We've seen that before. I mean, we know it's a piece of junk and, you know, just taking it all apart. And previously I had covered installing decals and trimming decals and sanding decals, so didn't see a whole lot of point in that. And so what I really want to do is just pick this thing up from the more important details, the things that are going to matter more now, implementing mods into it, doing those kind of things. So I'm going to maybe just right here throw a couple little highlights along the way to how I got to this point, and then we'll be picking it up from here moving forward, so we don't waste a lot of time on watching things we've already seen or making videos of things that we already have done over and over again. So let me do that. Let me just catch you up. So I'm gonna do that. And just come out of here like this, but I might be wrong. All right, back to this Doctor Who. I took the mini playfield out. I started making a video. I took the mini playfield out and I discovered a bunch of problems that I didn't even realize I had, or they had. And well, I have too, right? We have. So took that out, discovered a bunch of problems with that. Had to get some stuff in place to correct it. I had to find a bracket. The bracket that I needed was $180. I had to go get a drill press because in order to implement this whole smooth lifter kit, you need to use a drill press, not a hand drill. And so I was just kind of dead in the water with it. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna not fool with this for a little bit until I can really focus on it. And I had this other game I was finishing up. So I got that finished, I got all these things in place. Now I can focus on it. So what I'm gonna do is, I pulled the mini playfield out. It's a mess. We'll go over that when we get to it. I don't want to jumble things around. But my next move for this is I want to gut it. I just want to gut it. Normally I like to restore as I go, but I don't see any real benefit to doing that. All right, let's start gutting this thing. Go over these boards after I get them all out. All right. So we'll start with the driver board. Jumpers, lots and lots and lots and lots of work has been done to this. I wouldn't trust this thing at all. Soundboard looks pretty untouched from what I can see, so that's probably fine. This kind of perplexed me. So this is a flipper board, Fliptronic 2 board. It doesn't look like it's had any work done to it, but all these legs are just dangling. I wouldn't be surprised if these were touching the backboard. It's almost as if it's pretty clean looking. I think that's factory that they forgot to trim these leads off. So it's real quick. I'm gonna do that just so I don't forget. I mean, I don't trust it. I'm gonna exchange it, but it's just real strange that they would. That's gotta be a factory thing. I can't imagine. Looking at the rest of this person's solder work, it's clear they didn't do this. And now, this guy. Not too good. All right, so all that stuff will need to be exchanged or sent out. just cutting some of this stuff away. You know, cut this whole trough section out. Yeah, stuff like that. It's just, it's so rough. There's just nothing really worth salvaging here, but I'm gonna finish breaking it down in a way to where I can, at least see what's going on, what I need to do. There is the Doctor Who. It is pretty much gutted at this point. I didn't catch too much of that. I'll walk around it real quick. I'll talk about a couple things, and we'll start proceeding with the actual restoration. Wasn't much to talk about here because you're really just going over the same thing you've already covered, that it's basically a piece of junk. So everything's out. I'll get that topper off there. And I noticed on the cabinet is a heavy sag right here. You'll see that sometimes, that weighted transformer. It's kind of low quality factory construction, that weight of that transformer. And then as you can see, a whole lot of moisture right there, and all that kind of combines just to ruin the cabinet further. Nothing really worth taking off the rest of the way. The actual front of the cabinet is bowed in a really strange way. You can just tell it's been really wet at some time. Coin door looks like it'd be okay, but if you catch it from a side angle, you can see it's buckled, so somebody's thrown their knee in that. Over here is just a conglomeration of different parts that are divided up to be dealt with one way or another. Some of them are rusty and corroded, some of them are incorrect, hacked. And I actually put a reinforcement on the back of this. I was thinking about doing like a slide out playfield system, and that reinforcement was going to be key to that, but I really couldn't figure out a reasonable way to make it work. I could make it work for me around here, but I didn't think it would travel well, and that anybody that ran into it later would be able to figure out how to make it work properly without maybe doing some harm. So all right, what we got here? Coils we gotta go through. Metal brackets and ball guides. Mini playfield setups in there. I bought this bracket from Marco. I paid $180 for it, and this damn thing's no good. It's not made right. I'll go over that when I get around to it. And ramps and wire forms and plastics in there. More various categories. Playfield, pretty much stripped as far as I need it to be until it's time to build up the new one. Some parts I want to separate and put in there for plating, and then over there, all the wires, everything's been already washed and just hung up. They were just clipped off, nothing fancy. So that's pretty much where I'm at. I'll start going through some of these items one at a time. We'll get everything organized, then we'll get this carcass out of the way and get the new cabinet in place, and we'll go from there. Okay, let's get a little bit deeper into our parts and pieces. This table, and I just there they are. I managed to get them out without, destroying them, and that's the hardest thing about these. All right, there is the lamp panel. It's been refinished. It's just sitting over here to dry. All right, I got the lamp panel refinished. It's dry. I got the parts for it in the tumbler. I'll wash the wires in a few. I want to prep these legs. These are fairly new black legs. I think they've probably only seen a little bit of use, but they get banged around. But I want to put black legs on the cabinet. I'm going to probably use chrome trim, but I think black legs will look best on there. And so for that reason, I'm going to refinish these with a nicer, more durable finish. Get these cleaned. Clean them up real quick and refinish them. heads faced and matte cleared. While I was doing that, I ran over here and screened the back of the head, so now we can go ahead and prep the cabinet for decals. I'm just gonna sand it lightly with 180 and get it out of here. The art looks the same on both sides than it be symmetrical. Okay, I got the cabinet decal. Now I have a shaker motor that I'm going to put in this thing. So what I want to do now is just go ahead and drill the cabinet for that shaker motor. I think I'll take it off of this. Tapping these in place so they don't fall out. Now I'm going to drop them in. I'm going to actually use this metal template on the other side and thread the bolts through there and draw it in that way. Ready for the shaker motor. It's decaled. I'm gonna put it up on a dolly and I'll think about getting it ground braided. All right, there it is, decaled. I got it ground braided, I got the inside art on there. All right, now you know how we got here. So I'll give an overview of where that is and we'll be good. So, decals are in place, chrome trim, clear buttons because they're going to be light up buttons, cabinet protectors, new coin door, built that up with red slots, red start button, red launch ball button. Both are originally yellow, but I just like the red better, just looks better. Couldn't get my ideal alignment on this side. Everything's great on the front. The front kind of kicks it all off. So you decal the front, you want to center that start button, and then how everything else is placed is dictated from that. So you don't want to wind up with the start button way, off center. That looks terrible. So as a result of that, this side, pretty good alignment. Everything looks good. Everything lines up, no problem. But over here on this side, there's just no way. And I don't know that it's supposed to. I see some where they are lined up and some where they're not. That lower accent kind of comes together pretty good, but that upper one it doesn't. But then I look at the art and I think to myself, well, the top line of that is red and the bottom's yellow, and then on the front it's yellow and it's red. So I don't know that it's supposed to or has to, but what I do know about it more than anything is everything's even and symmetrical. So if you're looking at that little, I'll just say it's like a little arrow underneath Doctor Who, that's exactly 3/4 of an inch off the cabinet on this side and that side. And if you look at that bally script, that's exactly the same distance off the bottom of the cabinet on this side as it on that side. So that's the kind of symmetry you're looking for when you're placing these decals. Have the interior art starting to map some stuff out. I've already drilled it for a shaker motor. which I might have covered in there. Everything's ground braided, nice and neat. Built up a power box, nickel plated. These wires are just kind of roughed in for right now. I'm gonna probably do something a little bit cleaner than that, but for right now, I just wanna see how it lays out and how everything comes together, and then I'll tighten it up from there. So I do have the head left to decal, so I'm gonna decal that and build that up and get that up on the lower, and then things should start to progress in a more interesting way, in a way that's very specific to Doctor Who, not just universal restoration.